Wildness, wildness, wildness. Wild, wild west is around, guys. I saw this and I thought I had to come live because this is big enough for us to have a breaking news live real quick. This isn't going to be logged, but my goodness, this absolutely right there. Amos, look at you, man. Does this mean a deal's coming? Yeah, something's going to happen. We're going to sign someone. We're making room. We're waving, guys. Now, if we go to wait a second but the big news right there. Let's make it big. See that right in the middle? Released fullback Khari Blasengame and waived wide receiver Velus Jones Jr. That's pretty significant news as we head into the trade deadline. So that's a big deal. I mean, I still had hope for Velus Jones Jr. as Carl from Thigh and Smy and from Bears Country podcast likes to rub in and hate on the downfall of players. He calls him Velus Jones Jr. It's a little ribbing, little back and forth we do. But I still had hope for him, but this is a good thing in my mind. I'm going to tell you why. It means that Ryan Poles isn't afraid to cut bait if he thinks an experiment didn't work. Same with Chase Claypool. He unloaded him. I'm sure they tried to trade Velus Jones away. They tried to trade Khari Blasengame away. I'm sure they tried to. They weren't getting the return or the value for it. This allows them to go wherever they want. But the Bears are moving on. Something's going to happen. Now, if we go back to, in fact, right here, we'll just go here because it's right below it. I was going to go to the Bears website, but if you go right here, here's the injury report for today. See, Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, both out for this upcoming game. That's official now today. Larry Borum, questionable. Travis Homer, questionable. Jacob Martin, questionable. If they were full participants, though, and they're questionable for the game, that usually means, I'm gonna make sure I emphasize that usually means they're going to be available for the game. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll activate Jacob Martin or Travis Homer or Larry Borum. But if they just released Velus Jones Jr. and Khari Blasengame, more than likely they're going to activate and have Travis Homer available on the 48-man roster for this game. They really like Travis Homer. They played him a lot before he got injured. I really think this means Travis Homer is playing, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to sign a running back. There is rumor out there that we're going to sign or that we're going to trade for Chuba Hubbard. I don't buy that rumor. I don't see it. I think they're very happy with Roschon Johnson as the goal line back, and they really like Travis Homer. They think he's a great blocker, great special teams, and really just solid backup complement. I mean, even starter. They were not giving enough reps to other guys because of it, but it could mean something's coming in the works for some other position, maybe a defensive tackle like I talked about yesterday. This doesn't change the space much, Antmus. That doesn't change the space much at all. Both those guys, in fact, we can go to it. Khari Blasengame says it's about $2 million, I think. Let me hurry and pull it up, guys. Let me hurry and pull it up. Wasn't planning to show that, so we'll do that real quick, though. Khari Blasengame, $1.125 million. I don't think there was any dead cap tied to him. We'll hurry and look. Oh, I got to change screens. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let's remove that one, and let's share this one. I'll show you exactly what I'm looking at. Boop. So it's pulling up, being nice and slow, of course. Here's Khari Blasengame. Oh, maybe his is entirely. Nope, no dead cap. So zero dead cap for him. $1.125 million. We saved $1.125 million. Doesn't mean anything. Get away, ad. Go away, ad. So if we cut him, yeah, zero dead cap for Khari Blasengame. Then Velus Jones Jr. is on a rookie contract, so we basically owe him everything out of that unless he signs with someone else and they pick up his contract. So Velus Jones Jr. will be a little hit for us, $1.7 million next year. We'll look at it. Little dead cap, but what they're saying is we're done with this experiment. We're done with you. Go find your own team. Let somebody else sign you. Let's go over here. Boop. Dead cap. They're showing lower dead cap for 2025. I think this is under the assumption somebody else signs him. And I think he will get signed somewhere else. So we'll basically front the tab. But on a rookie contract, the new team has to pick up his rookie contract. So, notch. One less Rocky Top singer. Yep. Velus Jones was from Tennessee. Let's see. Yeah, this isn't a cap move. This is a roster spot move. This is to free up space for someone. So there will be someone. I'm not saying it's going to be a huge signing. I'm not saying, or a trade. I should be saying trade. I'm not saying this is going to be a huge trade, but other news today, if you look right there in the middle, yesterday actually, but I haven't really looked too far into him. But Joel Wilson, we signed to the practice squad, another backup tight end. So I don't think they're happy with Mercedes Lewis. I don't think they're upset with him. They like his veteran. He's more like a coach at this point. But they're trying to find guys that we can develop. Brennan, I'll never understand why we let Brennan Bates go. I don't get that one. But he has really been a poor blocker for the Jets. He's been kind of a liability for them so far. But nice hands in the preseason for us. I really liked it. But you see there, that's on the Bears. This is the Bears official page. This isn't just the Twitter release, which that Twitter that I showed you guys was from the Bears PR department. We released Khari Blasengame and we waived wide receiver Velus Jones Jr. So I'd like to see Colin Johnson get a call up now is what I'd like to see, at least for this game. Have him called up off the practice squad and have him available. I'm not saying take a bunch of reps from Rome or Keenan Allen, but get him up into the big leagues. I'll make it sound like baseball, but get him up into the big leagues and give him some reps and just I like Colin Johnson for some reason. Yeah, that is rough with Spidey and Brisker out, but I'd rather have them take it slow and come back because our depth is so good. Elijah Hicks played really, really well. Josh Blackwell played really, really well. I'm not concerned about the depth right now. I like this team. I like this team's depth a lot. Yeah, we do need another running back. I just don't know if we're going to go trade big draft capital for it. I just don't think that's realistic. Man, a lot of chat. Thanks for popping in so quick, guys. I kind of just did this last second. I'm not going to hate on Velus, but he definitely wore out the fan base. He wore the fan base out. That's where the speedsters go, right? To Kansas City. So I would expect some kind of after this game. I don't think anything big will happen during or before the game, but you never know. I didn't see this coming today, but I would expect some kind of move to happen before the trade deadline now because of this. Probably a defensive tackle, in my opinion, but man, I've been wrong many times before. Who knows how to read Ryan Pohl's mind? I don't. He does like to pick up his secondary too. He likes to pick up the safeties and the cornerbacks. So, man, not a lot of love for Velus Jones in the chat. That's for sure. Yeah, I know, Jazz. I completely agree with this. There's several times I'm not going to rag on Poles. Okay, he's doing a quality job, but there's a couple times he's missed. One of those being Justin Fields. He really should have got more value for Justin Fields. He could have. Rumor is there was a day 2 pick, which would mean a second or a third rounder on the table for him. If he would have done that a lot sooner before other teams started filling in their backup quarterbacks and everything else. Imagine having a second or a third rounder for Justin Fields instead of a 6th rounder now, which is most likely what it's going to be. Chase Claypool, we can go back to that over and over again. But then this one right here, if you guys remember from Hard Knocks, it was openly talked about that they had a trade offer for Velus Jones, probably a 5th, potentially up to 4th, because he was talking about it as if I wouldn't accept anything less than a 4th, making it sound like it was a hard decision. So possibly they were offered a 4th, maybe a 5th. That is kind of tough. I mean, it's your job as a GM to foresee these things. And I know that if you watch the rest of Hard Knocks, you had all the other coaches there. I'm trying to think of our running backs coach right now. I'm sorry, guys. Brain dead moment where I'm not prepared for this. I just kind of spur of the moment did a live. But said they wanted to try him out at running back. And I understand trying it out. But if you're able to get a 4th or a 5th rounder for him, a 5th rounder can be paired up with a late round 3rd to go up into the early 3rd round. That's huge. I've already got pre-scheduled, pre-recorded mock draft that a lot of you guys said you wanted to see during the bye week. So that's coming out here in like an hour and a half. It's going to be released or whatever you call it, premiere. And on there, I've still got not impacted the video, but I take later round draft picks and I trade up to show the value of moving up in the draft. And if he could have done that with Velus Jones, and now we're just cutting Velus Jones, can't get everything right, can't get everything perfect, but I think this is kind of his weakness is foreshadowing some of those things and taking an opportunity to really capitalize on the future there. But he's doing awesome in free agency. He's doing awesome with the actual draft in the early rounds where it's most important, 1st and 2nd, especially round. You look at Jervon Dexter, you look at Tyreek Stevenson. He's doing an awesome job with that. So, yeah, I agree with this one too, Alex. Now Davis and Dom Rob. I think those are definitely being worked on, possibly even Larry Borum, to try to get trade value, or else probably one of them would have been cut instead. Dom Rob is on the same crap list as Velus Jones Jr. I would expect if they weren't getting trade value. So that's another thing. We're just reading the tea leaves, 1,000-foot level here. If there wasn't something trying to be worked on for Davis, not Davis, they wouldn't cut him either way, but Dominique Robinson or Larry Borum. Larry Borum would save us $3 million by cutting him. So you would think one of those would go first before, Khari Blasengame or Velus Jones, but this means that they're probably trying to work on a deal for some of those guys. So, yeah, that would have been fun, Thomas. Actually, that would have been entertaining to be able to see that happen. You would have had a little bit more upset fan base now than now. I think having him muff the return in and just not quite panning out has made the entire fan base more okay with him, because it was pretty split. A lot of people wanted to see Velus work out, but yeah, they did do as much as they could for Velus, but he was, man, if you have to sit on the jugs machine for 8 hours a day, like it's your career depends on it, maybe you got to do that, but he didn't do it. And I'm not going to rag on it. I really like Velus Jones. Hopefully he finds success somewhere else, but not with the Bears. So, all right, guys, that's all I got. I just wanted to come on and show that and show what it probably means. We probably most likely are working on something to sign someone, because this is both guys from the 53-man roster. Obviously, Khari Blasengame coming back from injury, so this helps alleviate some of that space of not having to, keep him on the IR or put him somewhere else. Velus Jones Jr., though, was on the 53, but never active. Lately, at least the last 5 weeks, he was never active. He was constantly put on the inactive. So there's 53 on the active roster that you can keep, 48 that dress for the game, and he was always one of the 5 that didn't dress for the game. So this is alleviating a roster spot. That's one of the 53-man roster. This alleviates that. So my draft has 3 O-linemen in it today. So stay tuned for that in an hour, 20 minutes. Draft. I'm going to do the bye week, then I'll do the mini bye week later, and then I'll start the mock drafts after the season like we always do. Man, I've seen this rumor too, Alex. I've seen it a lot. And the only reason it makes sense is the Saints have lost 5 in a row, and they are in cap space hell. But they always find a way to get out of that cap space hell. They always, I was going to end it. You've just fueled my fire that I want to show this, because this is one of those rumors that could be coming true now. But the only reason you would do this is because Darrell Taylor's on the end of his contract, and he's going to be expensive next year. Probably 7. He's probably going to be Dominique Robinson, or not. Sorry, DeMarcus Walker type of contract where it's $7-8 million a year. Let's go to the cap. Let's go to. So next year, the Saints are already $70 million over the cap, but they do this every year. If you look at their multi-year cap, they do this every year, and then they just adjust contracts. I actually showed this in my live yesterday. Adjust contracts. They make it work out. It's just paying Peter to pay, or robbing from Peter to pay Paul is what they're doing. And it's going to have to come to an end at some point, and this could be that point. Losing 5 in a row, you see right there, right in the middle of the screen. Let's see if we can make it bigger. Go away, ad. $73 million right there. That's how much. 2025 for them. That's how much they're over the cap already. So they've got to restructure contracts. They've got to get rid of some stuff. They've got to make some moves for next year. They don't have to do it right now, but it makes sense if you've lost 5 in a row. You're 2-5. You're not in competition right now, and you're looking pretty bad. Let's get to the defensive ends. And that's a big name that keeps coming up. Carl Granderson. You see right here. Next year, they backloaded his contract, and he's still young. He's not old. 28 years old. And he's signed through 2027. And look at the cap. And they've got young guys. That's why they would be willing to do it. I made this too big. I zoom in so you guys can see it, but then I made it. Come on, computer. And they've got young guys. Brian Brissy, let's see, that's a tackle. But they have Chase Young. Could they re-sign him? Who knows? Peyton Turner. They declined the 5th-year option, so I don't know why it's showing that. He's not signed for next year. He's a free agent, but they've got Cam Jordan. They're just coming up on expensive contracts, so they're going to have to try to unload and get some draft picks and try to build through the draft again, because they've been doing this for way too long. So, yeah, I agree with that. So that'll be a name to watch. It could be. I would see us go after a defensive tackle for the run stopping ability more than Granderson, but Granderson would be a fine player, great addition. And man, with that rotation, Darrell Taylor and Granderson behind Walker and Sweat, we're a lot more stacked, but we still need line help, defensive line help for run stopping. So yeah, I don't want to see us end up with 4 drafts again either. I don't blame it on Eberflus at all, though. It's not Eberflus. I don't agree with that. But all right, guys, that's it. Save our picks. Okay, so I got the draft. I've got my mock draft coming out in an hour and 15 minutes. Check that out. You'll like some of the players I put in there. But that's the big news is Khari Blasengame. Let's go back here. And Velus Jones Jr. are officially cut from the roster. They're gone. Waived and released. So they are gone. So that's the big news. All right. With that, till next time, bear down.